Welcome to Module 1, Video 1 from the Safe and Effective Use of AI in Education Resources. We are living through a time of rapid technological change, with artificial intelligence or AI transforming the way we work, communicate and learn, from automating repetitive tasks to supporting our planning of lessons. AI has the potential to support education in many ways, reducing workload and supporting staff in powerful new ways. But as we embrace this technology, the role of the human is more important than ever, grounded in critical thinking, professional judgment and ethical responsibility. We know many school and college staff feel uncertain about AI. Some are excited about its possibilities, while others are concerned about the risks or simply don't know where to start. That's why these materials are designed for everyone, whether you're brand new to AI or already using it and experimenting with its capabilities. In these resources, we will demystify AI, explore its implications for education, and consider how it can be used safely and effectively. We will highlight key risks, particularly in relation to safeguarding, data and intellectual property, and provide practical guidance on responsible AI use. Our hope is that you feel inspired and empowered to explore AI confidently and use it to reduce workload and enhance learning, while maintaining the values and professional judgment that define great teaching. These support materials align with the Department for Education's position on AI in education. The resources have been developed through extensive consultation with school and college staff. We conducted surveys, roundtable events and spoke to a range of staff from schools and colleges to understand their perspectives on AI, and these insights shaped our approach. In this first module, we'll be exploring the question, what is AI and how does it work, with a particular focus on what we need to know as school and college staff. The Department for Education has stated that AI has the power to transform education by helping teachers focus on what they do best, teaching. Generative AI can streamline administrative tasks for teachers and TAs and support lesson planning and assessment. It can also reduce the administrative burden more widely for all college and school staff.
Some of the key benefits of generative AI for educators is the fact that you can create some really interesting, differentiated and personalised learning resources.
So we found that image generators were a fantastic way to hook them in. And again, that we linked that to a specific purpose because we wanted to work on their oracy, we wanted to work on their descriptive writing.
Look, the first thing when anybody's exploring the use of artificial intelligence is what problem are you trying to solve? Where do you see it being a solution? If you're just chasing artificial intelligence because it's the new technology on the scene, then you run the risk of potentially wasting money and actually highlighting inefficiencies in your current network and systems. At Barton, we had identified some workflows in our business services that we felt could be optimised through the use of AI. Effectively, types of work that are decreasing productivity and/or increasing error rate. So we felt that if we used artificial intelligence to focus on those problems, what we would do is create capacity in the teams for the things that require the human element, i.e. giving AI what it's good for, but freeing the human up for what they're good for.
For me, I think positive examples always come from decisions that are grounded in purpose. So thinking through the problem that you want to solve before you look at a tech solution. And examples of that using AI are particularly around things like engaging learners that are otherwise completely disengaged from a subject. So generative AI is brilliant at being able to reframe subject-specific content. An instance of that might be developing an interactive game around a maths module or a science module for a student who otherwise had zero interest in that subject. And through these tools, you're able to create an interest, an enthusiasm, or develop the content so that it aligns with the passion of the student. And because it's so easy to differentiate in this case, the possibilities are endless with what that could look like. So there are some fantastic examples of this happening.
So rather than thinking about where we can use AI and integrate it into our practice, that's great, but maybe we should be thinking, what's the human value add in our practice? And how can we use AI to create the capacity, the augmentation to allow that human to flourish?
My favourite thing about AI is not AI itself, it's the ability and the rising up of this thing of human intelligence. This is not a new thing. Human intelligence and the knowledge versus skills debate and all those conversations, what AI has brought to the forefront of it doesn't have empathy, it doesn't get upset, it doesn't really respond negatively to anything that's going on, great. But ultimately what it doesn't have is empathy, understanding, all of those bits. Actually, we need to focusing on developing humans, because really that's what's going to make the world wonderful.
Artificial intelligence, or AI, is a field of computer science dealing with the mimicking of human intelligence. The computer scientist Alan Turing spoke of AI as far back as 1947. He said in a public lecture, "What we want is a machine that can learn from experience." You'll have heard of generative AI applications such as ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot. These tools use a type of AI known as large language models, and many of you may well be using these types of tools regularly. Others may just be starting to think about how you might use AI tools. We're now going to briefly cover some key definitions that we need to know, which we're going to return to later in the module. AI is an umbrella term covering a number of different types of AI. We'll look at generative AI in more detail later in the module, but there are some key definitions it's useful to know.
We're used to computer programs performing in a predictable way due to how they're programmed. These traditional programs or apps are known as rule-based systems, but many of the newer generative AI tools are data-driven rather than rule-based, and they approach problems in a different way that is much less predictable. Another important term is prompt. A prompt is the instruction that we give generative AI. It is often in the form of natural language, but could also contain images or files. Narrow AI is the type of AI designed for specific tasks and can't be easily adapted to do other things. It works using carefully selected data to complete a particular job. Some examples include facial recognition, such as that used to unlock phones, and the AI in spell checkers or adaptive learning tools. It is also the technology behind some important assistive technologies, such as voice dictation tools that can be used to support learners for whom writing may be a barrier. General purpose AI can perform many different tasks rather than just being limited to one job. It's trained on large amounts of data and can be adapted for different uses. Generative AI is a type of AI that can create new content such as text, images, videos, or even music based on a user's input or prompt. This is the type of AI we'll be focusing on the most throughout these materials. Large language models are a type of general purpose generative AI designed to understand and generate human-like texts. These models are trained on vast amounts of text and can answer questions, summarize information, and even translate languages. Some will also deal with video or images. Deep learning is a more advanced form of machine learning, inspired by how the human brain works. We'll be learning more about this in the next video. What makes generative AI so accessible is that it is the type of AI that can generate content based on an instruction given by the user. This instruction is known as a prompt. Interaction with an AI system can be conversational, using everyday language, and can also involve images, audio, or video. While generative AI systems can appear convincingly human, it's important to always remember that it's only a very effective technology.
In thinking about what we mean by artificial intelligence, it's worth taking a step back and thinking about what we mean by intelligence. Think perhaps of your pupils who demonstrate something that you see as intelligence. What does that mean? It means that they have some sort of understanding of the world in which they find themselves. It perhaps means that they're reasonably articulate, they're able to express their ideas well. Perhaps you would say it means that they have some sense of agency. They can choose what they want to do. They're able to make decisions for themselves. You would also, I hope, acknowledge that it includes an element of being able to learn from their experience, to be able to get better at doing things. When we talk about artificial intelligence, we might be thinking of many of those things, about being able to make sense of experience, being able to learn from the environment, learn from data and spot patterns and determine rules from that, much like an intelligent person would. It perhaps also includes some more general sense of all-round understanding of knowing things in some sense and being able to express ideas and perhaps even to have some degree of agency to be able to affect things. So artificial intelligence covers a whole multitude of things, but I think the easiest way to think of it is when a machine can do something which perhaps previously we'd have assumed for a human being to do requires a degree of intelligence.
As a user of a generative AI tool, you are responsible for what you put in and how you use the output. AI can be used to complete tasks such as writing emails or newsletters, generating ideas for lessons, translating articles, simplifying content, and much more.
Resources can be in a text format, it could be audio, even video now as well. And I think it really allows you to just do different things in ways that we haven't done that can really engage young people, but also allows young people to learn in different ways, both within and beyond school.
AI can be an effective and useful tool for school and college staff by saving time and reducing workload. An Education Endowment Foundation study found that AI can reduce the time taken to do some areas of work by more than a third. The Department for Education has created clear guidance in its policy paper, Generative AI in Education. This clearly sets out the opportunities and risks associated with generative AI use in education. And these materials are designed to support you in exploring these opportunities and risks. Artificial intelligence holds particular promise for learners with special educational needs and disabilities, or SEND. When implemented with care, AI-based assistive technologies can help to remove barriers, tailor activities, and adapt resources. But if we're going to use generative AI safely and effectively in education, we need to make sure that we're following best practice while being aware of the limitations and potential biases. For example, while UNESCO has said it's committed to harnessing the potential of AI technologies for education, it also emphasised this use must be guided by the core principles of inclusion and equity of a human-centred approach to AI. The Department for Education has set out some basic actions all school and college staff should take if we're using generative AI. For example, we need to critically evaluate the outputs of generative AI to make sure it's accurate, free of bias, and appropriate for the context. There has to be human oversight and accountability. We should adopt good data practices and avoid actions which would infringe data protection or intellectual property law. It's important to follow the relevant policy in your setting. You should also refer to the Department for Education's Generative AI Policy Paper and Product Safety Framework. We need to understand and follow the process for reporting any issues or concerns about generative AI at school or college. Given that it's such a rapidly developing field, it's good to stay up to date on best practice for the use of generative AI in education. These support materials will help you with that.
AI is already all around us. According to Ofcom's 2025 Media Use and Attitudes report, half of children aged 8 to 17 said they had used generative AI technology. This is up from 46% the previous year. In the BET white paper, The Next Generation on AI Education and Opportunity, which surveyed 10,000 students, 79% said they know more about AI now than a year ago. As school and college staff, we have a responsibility to understand the rapidly changing digital landscape they are experiencing. In these materials, we'll explore some of the use cases in education as well as limitations. This module, Understanding AI in Education, asks the question, what is generative AI and how does it work? Module 2 looks at interacting with generative AI in education. Module 3 looks at developing the safe use of generative AI in education, and Module 4 looks at key use cases for all staff. As a minimum, we shall recommend that all staff are familiar with the content of Module 3 to be able to understand how risks in using AI can be mitigated. Accompanying these support materials for all staff, there is a leadership toolkit, and this is specifically designed for education leaders, including SENDCOs, school business managers and governors, looking to integrate the use of AI safely and effectively in their settings.